Good afternoon, Flosstube. It is Sunday the 18th of May. I've jumped on this Sunday to do a quick update because I can't do my usual half-term update as we're going to be away. And I didn't want to, and life will be busy when I get back, so I can't wait till I break up in July to do an update because there will be way too much to talk about. So I thought I'll just jump on today and I will catch you up on what I've been doing, and then it shouldn't be too long, and then there'll be a reasonable update again when we get to July. So thank you very much for watching. If you're new here, welcome. Please like and subscribe to my channel. If you're a returning viewer, thank you very much for coming back. I really appreciate all of you. I'm Caroline. I live in Leeds in West Yorkshire in the UK. You can find me around the internet. I'm mostly on Instagram. I'm at Caroline A. Kemp, and Caroline is spelled with a K. I also have a blog that I periodically update, and that's where you'll find the show notes, and that's carolinescorner.blogspot.com. I think that's about it. This is a video mostly about cross stitch. It's about my crafting life. This video will be about mostly cross stitch and quilting because I haven't really done enough. I've done some knitting, but not really enough to make it worth getting the projects out to show you. So I have my coffee. I hope you have a brew or whatever you like to drink, and settle in with me. There's not a lot to say. We've hit the GCSEs at work. So it's exam time. I don't really need to say any more. I think that's about it on an updates front. Really, we just keep on keeping on. I don't have kids doing, well, my daughter's doing one AS level this year. She's one paper down and she's one to go. Other than that, we are just looking at universities for her. So we went up to Scotland at Easter to look at St Andrews. We're off down to the West Country for Springbank to look at Exeter and Bristol. Joy. She's decided she wants a university well away from home. I can't say anything because I travelled from Scotland, which is where I was living at the time, to Leeds. So. And that was in the 80s where there were no mobile phones, no email, and one payphone in the student halls, and you could never get on it. So really in no position to dispute my daughter's decision to go as far away as she can. Right, anyway, so on to the stitching. It's continuing to be quite a good crafty year. I'm managing to stitch most nights. I'm in a challenge with the Sampler Guild to do something needlecraft related every day. I am mostly stitching, but there is the odd night where I'm really knackered and I just do a row of my knitting. But I'm still in, and we're almost at the end of May. So I take that as a win. So as far as my so I'm still doing my rotation, 10 hours on a small project, a focus piece, which is my oldest large project, a medium-sized project, and another large project. And that seems to be working for me quite well this year. So my focus piece at the moment is my oldest whip from 2013. This is called Mistress L's Sampler of Symbols Now, bands, emblems and symbols. Check my notes there. By Lauren Sauer of Forget Me Nots and Stitches. And this was a class I took with Lauren through the shop Hanging by a Thread in London. That was in London. They were in London and they organised classes. They stopped organising classes shortly after this one, when the owner got ill. So yeah. So this is a picture of the sampler. It's quite a biggie, as you can see. And here is my progress. As I said, it's quite a biggie. There's quite a lot of fabric there. I'm coming up on, I have another 2 or 3 bands and I'll be at the halfway point on this one. I'm currently working on it. When you last saw it in a video, I was up here working on this band here. So, and I'm on the second, so I've stitched all this, I finished that band, stitched all this. When I picked it up on Saturday morning, I was working on this band when I put it down. So I have finished this band, put in another Montenegrin dividing band and started on another line of verse. So on here I am there. So as you can see, I really don't have far to go to hit the halfway point, which is very pleasing to say. I've only been working on this I've picked this back up again. When I picked it back up to start working on it, I was up here, so I've done, it's grown quite satisfactorily. That is the nice thing about band samplers, they do. You see them growing so much easier sometimes than you can other samplers, motif samplers. This is being stitched on 40 count antique white linen, and I am using a mix of threads. Sorry about that, that's the bottom of my scroll bars, because it's on the scroll bars, it's difficult. There are several sampler threads. It uses a lot of forest green, and as you can see, this is the end. I'm getting close to the end of my first skein of forest green, and so there are sampler threads, and it also uses some of Soie silks, which mean that some of the thing like this is like in this rose and honeysuckle band, the flowers absolutely pop, and the silk's also used in the alphabet. The lettering is all in green silk as well, so it's looking absolutely lovely. So, and I am really enjoying working on it. Quite why it's taken, say this every time, I know why it took me this long to get back to it, because there's too many other things going that scream at you. The Needle Minder is one by Minnie McBeans that I got at the Great British Sampler Weekend when I went 2 years ago. I am, however, not going to the one this year just because it doesn't fit with my work schedule. I can't take time off work in September. I am just far too busy trying to get all the students on the system and all properly enrolled and all the right data there so we can claim the funding. We have a immovable deadline as to when we have to get the first funding return in. I'm now going to show you the only piece of haul that I got this year. I decided to treat myself to a project bag for my focus piece to live in. I'm not a big project bag person. Most of my projects live in recycled Amazon gift bags, but because the focus piece stays out all the time, I thought I would get it a proper project bag. And Canny Little Fox put up this geometric fabric that I absolutely fell in love with, so I ordered what she calls a zippy pouch from her. So it's got one big compartment and then there's a separate compartment you can put your notions in. On this project I put my threads in there, so they're separate from the rest. So yes, very pleased with that. So when I last filmed, I was about to start work on the drawn threads and open heart. I started this one in September 2020, having had the chart in my stash, kitted, because a good friend very kindly sent me the kit from Elegant Stitch. Pretty much since the chart came out in 2002. So yeah. Right, I'll have put in a picture of where I was before I picked it up, but here is my progress now on this beautiful design I absolutely love. Drawn Thread was one of the first designers I fell in love with, and I still love her classic designs. So a lot of what I worked on this time was border, bringing the whitework border down on both sides. That's actually quite a lot of work because you're using 2 strands of thread and obviously having to railroad everything so it stays nice, the satin stitch all stays nice and smooth, and bringing the blackwork border down. And then I did this blackwork panel. I think there was some white work at the top, blackwork panel, another layer of the verse. I made a start on the next bit. For this panel I actually have to do some withdraw threads, so I've got to leave the border until I've done all the withdrawn threads. So I'm almost at I think I'm about at the halfway point in the middle section with this now, so it's nice to have at least one of my big projects that's a bit further along than some of the others. But I love working on this one, it's so fun. And I have several folders of drawn thread charts that I really need to get stitched. The fabric is, I'm not sure, I think it's 34 count cafe au lait, which is what was called for, and I'm using the called for needlepoint silks. I store my silks in Flosstube bags, just because it's easier. Just suits the way I prefer to use them rather than on floss drops. So yes, so the an open heart by the drawn thread. I love the colours, it's all pinks and mauves and just all the different speciality threads, speciality stitches that Drawn Thread uses. I love. It makes it so interesting to stitch. And if you ever want to learn how to do speciality stitches, you can't do what Drawn Thread's instructions are absolutely the best. Yeah, just the way she does her instructions, they are so easy to follow. I heartily recommend doing some first samplers. Last time I filmed, I had finished my small project, so I was in a position to start a new small project, and I spun a wheel, and it chose the designs again. So I pulled the Winds of Autumn off my shelf and decided to stitch the Spell of the Moon, the little pillow with the owl. This has had 2 rotation rounds now and is completely finished. I stitched this on 32 count burnt papyrus by Sugar Maple Fabrics. Now I don't think Mindy's dying anymore, so I got the fabric off a friend, and it's using the called for overdyed threads. There is a Gentle Arts Harvest Moon, Weeks Dye Works Pelican Grey, and Classic Colourworks Black Coffee. And I'm really pleased with how this has come up. Not sure if I'll finish it as a pillow as it was designed, or whether a flat ornament to go out over for autumn. But yeah, this was really fun to stitch. I do of course totally lose my ability to count at one point, so there's had to be a little bit of fudging in places, but yeah. So that's been my small project for my last 2 rotation rounds. Very pleased to get it done. The next medium-sized project I worked on was a Just Nan exclusive from the Silver Needle, again about 20 years ago, and I have another one that I've had in my stash for quite some time. I started it in 2021. It's called And Many More, and it's a needle case, and it's a companion piece to a scissor keep that Nan designed for the Silver Needle for their 20th anniversary. Now I think they may have had their 40th anniversary in the not too distant past. But I stitched this scissor keep. This is 20 flowers. And I stitched it, I think, in 2016, maybe. Open it and see, because I know they got the date under the. Oh no, I stitched it in 2012. I think I did the finishing in 2016. So 20 flower and Many More is the companion piece to this one. So I'd like to get it done, so I've got both of them out on display. So, and this is where I'm up to. So when I picked it up, I had finished this section at the top, and I am now working on the back of the scissor keep. I had hoped to get it finished this rotation round. I'll have inserted a picture of where I was, because I didn't have a lot of this done, and I probably would have done it, but I totally blanked out the overworn bluebirds, which obviously slow things down a bit. So all I have to do on this panel is finish the second bluebird and do the back stitching, and then there's just the lid to do, which is another sort of it's a bit of full coverage for the flap, similar to the scissor keep. But I really enjoyed stitching it. Again, Just Nan's one of those designers I fell in love with when I first started stitching, and I still love her stuff. Maybe not so much the cutesy little critters that she does, but I do like her classic samplers. Because this is a kit, it is 28 count flax linen and it's using Splendor silks and one thread gatherer silk. And very much a classic Just Nan palette of the mauves and the pinks and the greens there. So yeah, hopefully next time this comes up and I start stitching on it, it will get stitched till it's finished, given how little I actually have left to do on it. I mean, I know the flap is full coverage, but once I get going with that, that won't take too long. I certainly think there is less than 10 hours stitching left in that. And then we come on to the last of the whips that I've worked on recently. That's Hannah Coates 1848. This was the last large whip I worked on. Again, this is a 2020 start, and I'll stick a picture in of where I was on it. When I picked it up, because I'm very, very pleased with the progress I have made on Hannah. So let's get a clip to my board. Right, and here she is. Because I have finished the house, and I think I'm about 2/3 of the way done with all that grass at the bottom. I'm not normally a bottom-up stitcher, especially on samplers. I normally start from the top and work down, but there is so much solid stitching down the bottom here that I wanted to get. I wanted to start with that rather than starting at the top, because if I would never get the good golden finished otherwise. So yes, so I finished off building the house. I got it roofed, put the chimneys in, got the birds in on the wings, made a start on the gentleman over this side. He's actually quite fun to stitch. I don't know if you can see, but he has the most amazing calf muscles there, if you can see, just there. Yes, he's obviously been working out a bit, and I've taken the grass all the way over. I think I was in the process of, this sheep was in, I took the grass all over, got another couple of sheep in, and like I say, I've not got too much further to go really. This side is a mirror image, so I have another one of these big birds on the tree branch to go in once I finish the shepherd, and a couple of little bits, and then we will be done on the bottom, which will be lovely. But there's still an awful lot. She's a big girl, is Hannah, so there's still quite a lot to go. I'm stitching on 40 count light mocha linen, and I'm stitching Hannah with the Call for DMCs. Again, she calls for a lot of green. All of that grass is 730, DMC 730, and this is what I've got left of my first skein. So it won't be too long and I'll have to break into my second skein of 730. So anyway, very, very, very much enjoyed working on Hannah again. It was so nice to have her come up. Right. I do actually have a new start. As I think I have mentioned in previous videos, I've not been buying a lot of stash this year because I'm going to the class with Beth Twist of Heartstring Sampleries that Sue of Peakside is putting on at the beginning of July. And we got our kit a couple of weeks ago to start the pre-stitching. And the pre-stitching is for a box top, strawberry and some fobs. And this is my start on the box top. However, all this is going to have to be frogged because for some reason I put that bird in about 5 stitches too high. Don't ask me why. All I can think of is I must have had a very fried brain the day I was doing the counting, because I've checked and double checked and there is no way I could have got it wrong. It's quite clear, but what can I say? So I need to, and of course I hung the other 2 motifs off that bird. So it all needs to come out and get restitched. However, yeah, so it's a design called Ellen's Keepsake Box. It is currently exclusive only to the participants of the shop. Sue does not have any spares or anything like that. And Ellen may or may not put it out in due course. I imagine she will. She does seem to put out her class pieces after a few years. It's being stitched on 36 count caffeole linen from Fibre on a Whim using Weeks Dye Works, and really quite lovely colours of Weeks Dye Works. They're quite bright and cheerful, which I'm loving stitching with. So yeah, so I think as I stitch the motif on this side, because it goes round, I'm going to have to cut it because it's not going to work for the sizing of the box lid otherwise. So unfortunately I am going to have to frog those 2 birds and that pot of flowers, but I'll do it bit by bit as I stitch another big vase of flowers up the top there. Goodness knows how I managed to do that. I don't know. Just one of those days, I think. Anyway. So yeah. So I'm working on my pre-stitching in between every other thing, so it will get 10 hours in between the other bits of my rotation up to the class to make sure I can try and get it all done before we go, but we shall see. Otherwise, all my plans are to keep going with my rotation the way it's going. I have a new small project to start in my next rotation round, and that is going to be Drawn Thread Spring. I spun the wheel and the wheel decided it picked Blackbird Designs again, and I was like, no, I do want to stitch something else. So I respun it and it hit on Drawn Thread. So this is a really old Drawn Thread chart. I've had it in my stash for the best part of 30 years. Yes, it will be 30 years because it's my wedding anniversary this year, and we've been married 30 years. So it's Drawn Thread Spring, one of a set of the seasons. I've stitched autumn. I've just never gotten around to getting the rest of the pieces stitched. So there we go. So I've found some suitable 36 count linen in my stash. It's DMCs with 2 what were needle necessities. These are my needle necessities because I'm both colours that are available on Threadworks, who took over the Needle Necessities brand. So it'll be lovely to stitch on that next time. To finish out my current rotation round, the next medium-sized project, well, I say medium-sized with a caveat, is this one by the Scarlet House, A Sampler Grows, which again was another 2020 start. And this is where I currently am with it. I'm stitching this on a scrap of 40 count Pearl Barley by Lakeside Linen. It was on their Italian Graziano linen base, and I got the linen 20 odd years ago. I did stitch Dorothy Walpole on most of it, and this is some of the linen that's left after stitching Dorothy Walpole. I'm using a mix of Vera Soie and needlepoint ink silks. It's charted for needlepoint silks, so where I had the silk colour already, because I do have quite a lot of stash of needlepoint silks, I used it, and where I didn't, I matched it as best I could via the DMC conversion and pulled from my Vera Soie stash, of which again I have quite a large Vera Soie stash going back quite a number of years, so the dye lots are probably all very different to what you get these days, because a Vera Soie is one where the dye lots can vary quite a lot. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to working on that one for 10 hours and hopefully making a significant amount of progress on it. And then the large project that I'm going to be working on is my birthday start from last year, Anne Johnson 1832 by Hands Across the Sea Samplers. Now this was an exclusive design in 2023 to Traditional Stitches. I think they still have some left. So you can get it from them. As I said, I started this for my birthday in September last year, and that's where I got to. So just a bit of a start at the top. I'm stitching this on 46 count linen in Thai iced coffee. She's another big girl, is Anne Johnson. This is on 46 count, she's still a big girl. Yeah, so looking forward to trying to get a bit more done on get a good chunk, see if I can get a chunk in. I had gotten further along, but then I'd had to do a chunk of frogging because again my ability to count is just defeats me sometimes. I know I've made a mistake. I've put this in 2 stitches too low, but I can compensate and just not have quite such a big gap to the next section. There is enough of a gap between underneath the house and to those trees to allow me to not to have to frog. Yes, I'm really looking forward to getting back and getting some more stitches in Anne. Like I say, I'm stitching on 46 count linen, and I'm using the Call4 DMCs because I ordered the kit from Traditional Stitches, and the DMCs, if I order the DMCs, it comes in under the customs charge, and which is not the case if you go for overdyed cottons or silks most of the time. So this is Anne Johnson, so hopefully you'll see some progress on her next time I stitch. But my main focus is of course going to be getting as much far as I can with the pre-stitching for the class with Better Twist, which I'm looking forward to immensely. So that's my stitching. Like I say, I haven't got any more stash. All I bought, well, say all I bought, I paid for a chunk, paid towards the class, is I bought the project bag. I've not I was trying to have some restraint because, as I'm going to talk about now, I went to a quilting retreat in April, so I've been paying for that retreat. I'm paying for the class. There's another retreat with friends I'm going to in June, so I'm trying not to buy too much because my budget is spent. As you will see, I did do a bit of shopping at the quilt retreat, but hey, that's another reason why I wasn't buying a lot of stitching stuff. So yeah, so there has been some quilting happening, all on my Wild West mystery quilt from Sheila Constenson, mystery quilter on Instagram, and this is offered through the Modern Quilt Club. The fabrics I'm using for mine are from a range called By All Day's End by Sarah Marvel. Fabrics by Sarah J, that comes from Andover Fabrics. So I had up to clue 3 done before when I last spoke to you. Then I made a start on clue 4. I think there's another bit of clue 4 to go. So there are 4 of these, 4 of these, and I think there's another bit to do. But when I got to retreat, sorry, it's 2 of these and 4 of these. I think there may be another bit to do. When I got to retreat, I didn't bother. I just took all my green boxes because Lisa, sorry, of Modern Quilt Club sends her block of the month out in little green boxes. I just slung all my green boxes into a bag, and on the Friday afternoon when I got there, I was just pulling a box out, stitching it, and then pulling on the next one. So I actually jumped ahead and have done the last 3 clues for the quilt. It's not a mystery anymore, we've got the final reveal, so I need to crack on and finish clue 4, 5 and 6 done, and then I can move on to clue 10, which is putting it all together. So here is what I got done. This is clue 7. There are 2 of these. Clue 8, again, there are 2 of these. Clue 9, or clue 9B, again, 2 of those. And then Clue 9A, and I don't think I'm giving anything away by saying this is the middle of the quilt, and everything else will go around it. So yeah, really pleased to get 3 quilts done, the 3 clues done on the Friday. When I was at quilt, I didn't, because from Saturday what I did at retreat was work on the finishing for my Fruits of the Vine Hussif, because I've got space to do all the cutting and the measuring and not get distracted, and to get all the pockets made that go on the inside of the Hussif. So I'm probably past the halfway point on the finishing of the Hussif. When I go to my retreat with friends in June, I'm going to take the Hussif with me, and my plan is to get it finished there, because because a couple of days of solid work on it will get it finished. And it's just easy. That sort of complicated finishing, it's a lot easier to do it when I'm not getting distracted by anything else. So that's my plan. So hopefully next time I record I will have a fully finished Fruits of the Vine Hussif. So yeah, so that's what I was doing at retreat. I say the retreat is organised by Lisa of the Modern Quilt Club. It happens fairly close to us in a hotel in Gomersall. They feed you very, very well at this hotel. They're just masses and masses of food. It was amazing. I'm surprised we didn't all roll out with how much they were feeding us. But just to be able to sit back and just sew solidly for 2.5 days. So there was a shop at the retreat. A beautiful thing was there with some very, very lovely fabrics. So I indulged. I got 4.5 meters of, this might be I can't remember, sure if this is, tell you who it's by. See if I've got anything on the selvage. Poppy cotton. I think this is called Moonbeam. This one. So these are all 1/2 meters. Moonbeam Dreams. So this one has moths on. My plan is at some point with some of these fabrics is to start making myself some project bags. That's but we shall see. That's just got moons on. And again, this one's got flowers and moths. Just looking to see what I've got. So this is fabric by Rashida Coleman. I just bought that one because I liked it. And then the next two fabrics I bought were because I thought they were options for the finishing for Spirit of the Moon. So there's one with bronze yellowy stars on, and one that's just splotches, black and white splotches, which I think I'm leaning to that one for Spirit of the Moon. But to be honest, it could be either of them would look good as the finishing fabric. I just couldn't make my mind up. But I've got some other Halloween-y stuff that I've stitched and still needs finishing, so I will use these fabrics for that. Let's see if it tells me. That's one's called Starry, Alexa Marcel Abeg. That's Ruby Star Society. And I don't have a selvage on that one, so I couldn't tell you who that's by. So the only other thing I bought at the retreat was some flatter. Lisa is sponsored by the guys behind it's the same company that does Soak, and Lisa is sponsored by them at the retreat, so she had flatter on all the ironing stations. And when I was ironing the silk that lines my Fruits of the Vine Hussif, obviously that's been folded in a plastic bag for, well, I did the class in 2011 for 14 years. And I mean, obviously it's marked where the fold was. It's just faded, that's never going to change. But actually by using the flatter, I got the fold marks out. There are still marks, but the main one was where I was actually cutting the fabric in half, so it's not obvious. So I don't think I'd use this on the stitching, but definitely when you've got finishing, like me, where you've got finishing material that's been sat in a bag for best part of 20 years, it's going to be invaluable. And Lisa gave us a goodie bag. Again, she made us a little project bag. With goodies in from the sponsors she got. Lisa gave us, we got a badge if we were part of Mystery Quilt. We got a badge for the retreats this year. Say she's sponsored by Soak, so I got some Soak. And Lisa actually put a little sample of flatter in this spray. She's sponsored by Janome, so Janome gave us some pins and a keyring. We got some samples of art gallery fabrics from Jackie at Hantex, who again one of the retreat sponsors. So there's Botanist, Soften the Volume, and Lula Bee. So they're just charm packs of the fabrics, so I'm sure they'll come in useful for something else. Got a little roll of 3 fat quarters, 4 fat quarters. No, there might be fat eighths. Sure will come in handy for something. And very usefully, she gave us some post-it notes, sort of tabs for stuff. That came in incredibly handy. You can see I've actually used up that lightest blue because I'd meant to take some for labelling the bits of the Hussif when I'd cut them out and I'd forgotten, so I was very glad to find those in my goodie bag, along with a cute pen. A magic clip. A spool minder, which I can use on to hold my fabric. A clover seam ripper. And a label that said "Made at Retreat." So that's the list of all Lisa's sponsors for the retreat. I had a fantastic time there. It was just so nice to get cooked back and stitch. And so for the weekend, and say to see substantial progress on Fruits of the Vine, because rather than get it finished within 6 months of this year, and I'll still have time to try and make progress on finishing something else big, because there's quite a pile of them at the moment. So I think that's everything. It's a bit of a whistle-stop one this time round, just because it's a bit busy at the minute, but I didn't want to leave it too long without recording. So thank you for sticking with me. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. I will catch up with you all later. I'm so far behind in watching Flosstube because I'm just not getting much. I'm not had much chance recently. So yeah. So if I'm not commenting on Flosstubes at the moment, and I'm really sorry about that. It's just because I'm watching you're all several videos ahead of me. So I think I'm still watching videos from April. So, but summer's holidays coming up, I should get a bit caught up then. So anyway, thank you for hanging out with me. I will see you in July. And I will catch up with you all then. I hope you enjoy, for those of you in the UK, hope you enjoy the spring bank summer bank holiday, and if you have half term, I'll see you all later. Bye.